Welcome back to another live stream of Unscripted Liberation Codes. I am one of your co hosts, Alex Liberato, and we are finding ourselves nestled between. We have one eclipse in the rearview mirror that occurred on Sunday. We got another one coming up on April 8th. So we're going to kind of dissect what's going on. And then also, we're going to talk a little bit about like oddball conspiracies, things happening in the public. It seems like a vast acceleration is happening. So we're going to kind of unpack that a little bit. And I am joined today by the host and founder of this amazing channel, the Blu-ray Bodhisattva himself, the Salsa Shaman Mario.
Yeah, hey everybody. Yes, the lunar eclipse has passed. It was about 3 in the morning Eastern time where the lunar eclipse occurred, so about midnight Western time. And this eclipse did take place in the sign of Libra. So what do we have going on right now in the charts? So we have Mars in Pisces, Saturn in Pisces, Venus in Pisces, and Neptune in Pisces right now. It's a lot of Pisces energy, but we also have a lot of Aries energy going on as well. We have the Sun in Aries, the North Node in Aries, Chiron in Aries, and Mercury in Aries. And so the Moon traveling through Libra is what moved us through the lunar eclipse, creating the full moon at 5 degrees Libra, 5 degrees Aries. So this Libra lunar eclipse. So first off, I want to say that I love the design of the universe. It always feels like the universe knows exactly how to give us these transits. It's amazing. It's the more you dive and study into astrology, and if you've been paying attention to it as for as long as I have, you really begin to see the work of God or the divine through the astrology and how everything is so divinely orchestrated in a beautiful symphony. It's amazing. So, anyways, this full moon eclipse in Libra is a really important one because being that it's in Libra, the focus around it is going to be about relationships, and relationships in a very broad term. The relationship you have with yourself, the relationship you have with your spouse, the relationship you have with your animals, the relationship you have with your home, with your environment, the relationship you have with coworkers that you see and maybe talk to or don't talk to, the relationship you have with money, the relationship you have with your body. So this is bringing awareness in how we relate our ego identity to the entire external world. But to zero it down, it is also going to be a major influence in partnerships, whether they be platonic friendships, marriages, business partnerships, um, partnerships that are most important in your interpersonal dealings with others. So I believe that this lunar eclipse is very important, being that it's before the solar eclipse in Aries, because by the time we go to the solar eclipse in Aries, we're going all those planets, well, not all those planets, but Venus will be in Aries. So we'll have 6 planets in the sign of Aries during the solar eclipse. And Aries, being the opposite of Libra, is very self-centered. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, and the term for Aries is I am. So Aries is when spirit, the energy of spirit is birthed and is becoming aware of who they are, and what their identity is, and then taking action towards their desires that are relative to their identity and their authentic individual expressions and passions. So to a degree, Aries energy is very self-centered. It's the baby energy of the zodiac. It's the youngest energy of the zodiac. Aries is from like age birth to about 2 years old, and babies are totally selfish. They don't have any awareness of relationships to other people. They just have their own self-awareness. I am a baby. Wah, give me food. I want cuddles. And that's why we love babies. But So Aries energy is this very self-focused and doesn't really keep in mind about the other and how your individual actions affect others. So, being that we have this lunar eclipse in Libra before the solar eclipse in Aries, I see it as us first having to go through a major check and balance with ourselves and how our current state of being and intentions, actions, and goals in life are impacting and influencing our external environment and also those most closest to us. One example I gave the other day is like, let's say, let's just give the example of a plumber who's also a veteran and a plumber that runs a small business in a big city where infrastructure is going bad, homelessness is crazy, tons of migration going on, and money is being funneled into the wrong people's pockets and not really being used. And finally, just as a plumber who's been barely, keeping your head above water with your own business, you've just gotten fed up. You gotten fed up about this and you decided, you know what? I'm a veteran. I fought for this country. I'm educated. I have a skilled trade. I'm going to run for mayor. I'm going to run for mayor because someone needs to do something about this. And so, because now this plumber has this sort of divine mission, this righteous cause to want to take action towards and fight towards something, because this is sort of like a battle against fixing something that's wrong. So then, that person has to run a campaign. They have to start investing money. They have to start pulling from resources from the business and expanding their network and connecting, and them taking that action and doing all of that changes the entire structures, affecting people in their most personal relationships, such as their home and family. So now the children and the wife of this plumber are like, we are so overwhelmed with all this attention and we're worried we're going to lose the house and blah blah blah. And he's competing against people who are way more established and have way more connections and deeper pockets and blah 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 blah. So this lunar eclipse new full moon is like that moment where you are being checked by somebody else to make you aware of just exactly the level of impact your actions are doing. So it's basically like being posed a question. Do you realize what you're doing? Where's the direction this is going? Do you have a plan? That sort of thing. And so this lunar eclipse is making us very aware of, okay, like I am an individual and I'm following what I like, the passion that that is energizing me to take this action. And it is contributed and associated to some type of mission, some type of cause. But going forward in this action is affecting those that I care about. And so this lunar eclipse is moving us towards this phase of, okay, either the relationships are going to work in support and I can find a way to still accomplish this mission and balance my work life and my family life, or it's that the mission is far more important, and the supporting system of your closest relationships that just aren't at that vibration. And because we have the north node in Aries right now, the north node in Aries is asking the collective in the world to be more self-centered and taking action towards what they feel their destiny is aligned with. However, part of the karmic correction with the South Node in Libra is making sure that, you know, we do consider the wisdom and knowledge of maintaining balance and refinement in our relationships. Um, and so let me see here, looking at the charts again. So
Yeah. Can you pull the chart up on the screen?
yeah, let me do that.
So one of the buttons at the bottom is like share screen, and you can share whatever tab. While you do that, I'm kind of thinking that kind of makes sense for people to. I think we have a hard time in awakening communities to say uh, what I want to do, or what me. Like there's a lot of giving, there's a lot of serving, and that's nice. I think you're showing the studio tab and maybe not the Astro tab.
Oh, okay.
Um, but but that's a really great point where you're like, there we go. Let's pull that up. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
wow, there seems to be a lot of yods.
there
Like where it's
are.
like two
There,
points and then like a point farther out.
yes, yeah, there are. I didn't even realize that. I didn't even point that out. Um, going on there. But see, like Chiron being here in Aries and Mercury being here in Aries during this lunar eclipse, like there is a healing, a destined healing that is occurring with our ego, with our passion, with our inner masculine and warrior spirit. So we are being invited and called to initiate ourselves down a journey in fulfilling what we feel is our path, our mission, or just the road to self-discovery. And this lunar eclipse is sort of like a checkpoint in being like, okay, check in with your environment, check in with how you are relating with others and yourself and the world. And so this lunar eclipse is definitely one that can bring about ending to long-lasting relationships. This is a lunar eclipse that can bring a climatic um, point that creates divorces, ending contracts, ending business partnerships. And keep in mind that when we go through an eclipse, it is a super climatic moment, but often the event will take 6 months to unfold. So with this lunar eclipse in Libra, this is like finally internally realizing that you can't do this anymore. You can't be in this partnership anymore. You can't be at this job anymore. And so you now being ready to end it or move on and somewhere else. So then it will be the following 6 months where you begin to do that work in taking the actions to terminate the job, end the relationship, go through the divorce, that sort of thing. So it can create some kind of climatic event, such as an argument or a confrontation that brings you to that final threshold of like, okay, this isn't working anymore. And with the Chiron in Aries and Mercury in Aries that have recently crossed over the North Node, there are so many profound aspects to this that indicate that we have indeed learned and healed from old karmic patterns in terms of how we sacrifice ourselves in order to stay within some sort of vibrational connection that inhibits you or holds you down, and really healing from any codependency, from the need to having connections with others to feel validated and confirmed. This is really helping us be who we are without the need of somebody else to see, to confirm, or validate, to be very independent and individual. So this is a very powerful eclipse cycle that we're moving through. Do you have any questions so far, Alex?
No, this is great. Um, Someone also brought up a different astrologer who goes by the name Bathhouse Mystic. So he's like a gay astrologer for gay men. Also brought up that like maybe relationships with substances or substance abuse might kind of come up at this time. Like, do I go back to the familiar or do I leave it be or something? So I thought that was kind of interesting to throw onto the pile.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That is interesting, and that makes sense hearing that because of the amount of planets that are in Pisces right now. Mars in Pisces, Venus in Pisces, Saturn in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces. Pisces is the escape artist. Pisces does not want to deal with the gravity and weight of the mundane and rather chooses to numb and escape through substance or some type of other way of not meeting with reality. So that actually makes a lot of sense with the lunar eclipse in Libra and the amount of energies in Pisces for there to be the focal point in creating the catalyst being an overuse of substances. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, I know I've been through experiences in past relationships where the moon was in a certain place and certain energies were going on where I'm getting drunk with an ex-partner and we get a little too drunk and the fucking, and then it's just like one crazy fucking night of fighting and like belligerent, stupid drama. So, so I that makes a lot of sense of this lunar eclipse creating some kind of, hot mess like that. Um, so let's see, what else would I like to say about this lunar eclipse here? So, um, this is so like for example, another thing that is happening with this lunar eclipse is it is also aligning us with people that we are destined to meet with, people that can meet you as equals and see you and respect your individuality and support your individuality. And so that way there are more unifications of people that are sovereign in their own identity and their own selves and are not codependent and dealing with lower vibrational wounds or holes where you need to latch on to somebody or some other energy to feel any sense of worth or value. So this lunar eclipse is also bringing people together. A new wave of powerhouse couples can come together, or groups, and this isn't just romantic couples, so like for example, Alex and I, we're during, before this lunar eclipse, like, we've started to work together in this podcast. We've tried it many times, but we had to go through certain things over the years, and then now here we are, and we've been
Mm-hmm.
putting in the work, we've been building our arc. And as this eclipse has started, now together, him and I, as we are friends and partners in this endeavor, we are moving through this transition where our relationship and our connection with one another is literally evolving to another stage. And I can say the same way with my fiance, this, like, our connection is evolving to a higher level as well, where we are two powerhouse individuals that are able to respect our individual sovereignty and work together. So I do expect to see a rise of a lot of power couples, whether they be romantic or friendships or in businesses, coming together. Now, do you have any questions so far?
No, that's great. It reflects on a local level, it reflects on a level here, and it's very interesting. Like, I think it resonates. Keep going.
so, so, as we are going to be, now that we're through this lunar eclipse, we have 2 weeks, exactly 2 weeks until the solar eclipse, and a lot is going to unfold from now until the solar eclipse. Let me get rid of this client's chart. so it's not in the screen. There's a lot that's going to unfold now until then. Um, but I'm just going to focus on the solar eclipse due to respecting of time. Let's see where we're at right now. So I'll speak a little bit on the lunar eclipse right now, so that way we can sort of pin the rest and transition into some other things that we want to talk about. But looking at the lunar eclipse, it's going to occur on April 8th at 2:20 p.m. Eastern time, is when the eclipse is going to start. And I
Oh, you mean
believe
solar eclipse?
the solar eclipse, the total solar eclipse, is going to begin. And I believe the eclipsing of the sun is going to last for approximately 4 to 5 minutes. Don't quote me on that. Look it up yourself. But it's going to be about 4 to 5 minutes, and it will begin at 2:20 p.m. Eastern time. So here are all the planets that are going to be in Aries during that time. We have Mercury in Aries retrograde at 24 degrees. We have Chiron, the wounded healer, in Aries at 19 degrees, the sun at 19 degrees, and the moon at 19 degrees. And look, they're all at 19 degrees, 24 minutes. This is so profound. The fact that these three bodies are together at the same degree and the same minute during this most profound, intense, amazing, prophetic solar eclipse. This is so dialed in. It's fucking crazy. And then we have the North Node in Aries at 15 degrees. And then by the time the solar eclipse is occurring, Venus will be out of Pisces and in Aries at 4 degrees. And during this eclipse, Mars in Pisces will reach 13 degrees, now within a conjunction to Saturn in Pisces at 14 degrees. So this is very significant. Being that Aries is ruled by the planet Mars, we see Mars here in Pisces. The fact that Mars here is in Pisces really sets the tone for how all of this Aries energy and the total solar eclipse is going to be experienced. Pisces is the dreamer. Pisces, ruled by Neptune, is and coming from the domain of the 12th house, is this very mystical, supernatural realm that allows us to connect with the divine, with ghosts, with spirits, with demons, with energies and that are things that are beyond the veil of the physical realm. Pisces is the energy of heaven, whereas opposite of Pisces, Virgo is the domain of earth. So for Mars being in Pisces during this Aries solar eclipse, like this eclipse is going to be like very weird. It's going to be very strange. It's supernatural, and we all are already feeling the supernatural qualities to it. Pisces is all about synchronicities, divine spirits, and the angelic realms, all sorts of things. And we are, as we have been building up and more people have been becoming aware of this eclipse occurring, we have been seeing so many different coincidental, synchronistic patterns and formations that are all tied in to not only this eclipse on April 8th, but the eclipse that occurred last year in April and the eclipse that occurred in 2017. So there is a deeply profound, mystical, supernatural quality that is happening during this total solar eclipse, where a majority of the energy is in the sign of Aries. So basically, it's like if you've ever watched the movie series Mortal Kombat, in Mortal Kombat, Liu Kang is the main character, where he's the one who has to fight all the bad guys. So in Mortal Kombat, it's like first there's the mundane world, right? And especially the most recent Mortal Kombat, the new one that came out a few years ago. So this is how the context of it. We have Earth, and we have fighters, MMA, UFC fighters, and they just live life in a normal, mundane way, nothing too crazy or special about them until the veils of the other world begin to thin and warriors from other realms are now coming to the earth realm to try to find the warriors in the earth realm to fight over who's going to be controlling like the multiverse. So this is kind of like the situation we're in right now, where like we're all these fighting spirits, these warriors, these champions, and we're like, yeah, la di da, Earth, you know. And then all of a sudden, wait a minute, what's that portal over there? And there are beings coming through this portal, and it's like, oh shit, the reptilians are here. They're trying to take over the planet. It's and then in that process, realizing that, you know, you have a dragon tattoo on the back of your shoulder and you're like, whoa, where'd that dragon tattoo come from? And you're like, oh my gosh, I am a dragon. And realizing how to activate that, and that you're actually this amazing cosmic being that was sent to incarnate on Earth to be here during this profound transitional period that is being galactivated through this total solar eclipse. Um, so that's the way I like to put it. And the reason why I say that is because Mars is in Pisces, Saturn is in Pisces, Neptune is in Pisces. Um, so there's, oh my gosh, there's so much to break down about this whole entire thing. So I am like paraphrasing a lot of it and giving you just like the essence of it rather than breaking down all the pieces layer by layer. But the last thing I want to say about this total solar eclipse is, you know, with the North Node in Aries and all of this energy in Aries, what I personally believe, that the reason why we are going through the North Node in Aries with these very powerful eclipses in Aries and Libra before Saturn goes into Aries, Saturn and Neptune goes into Aries, because right now Neptune is at 28 degrees Pisces, Saturn is at 14 degrees Pisces. By next year, Saturn will reach the third decan in Pisces and catch up to Neptune, and together they are going to slowly move out of Pisces and dip their toe into Aries, and then they're both going to retrograde back into Pisces. And by the time we're in 2026, both Neptune and Aries are starting a new synodic cycle while transitioning into Aries together. And that is so profound. So the North Node in Aries right now, the North Node and South Node transitioned into Aries Libra last year in June, July. So this whole time with the nodes being in Aries and Libra, what it's been doing is it has been paving the road for people to awaken more of who they are in a multidimensional star seed, whatever it is you feel aligned with, witch or ancient Atlantean priest or whatever, is coming into the awareness and more embodiment of who you are on a multidimensional sense, and expanding your awareness of what's happening beyond the mundane, limited, imprisoned matrix, and realizing that there's a whole lot more going on. And because Aries is the warrior ruled by Mars, god of war and conflict, I see that the North Node being in Aries is paving the road to destiny for people to awaken and who they are and rise to what their own sovereign mission is, in order to really become that starseed warrior or galactic warrior or just whatever, just somebody that's sovereign and isn't going to just be passive complacent about what's happening in the world. Because, you know, we are related to the world, you know, the Libra energy there, we have a relationship to everything. So we have a responsibility to maintain balance and take power back. And so this North Node and Aries transit with the eclipses is opening up and allowing us to go down this destiny in becoming who we really are on a deep soul level. And the reason why this has to happen now, before Saturn and Neptune go into Aries together, is because, so Saturn is the ruler of Earth. Saturn is the ruler of the physical domain, and we all know by now that the Illuminati, Freemason global elite worship Saturn, the black cube, black rock, all this Saturn worship, sacrificing babies to Moloch, Kronos, all that sort of stuff. And it's not that
Hmm.
Saturn is bad. So just for the record, Saturn is not a bad planet. These
Saturn's not bad. It's hijacked, kind
it's
of,
it's
right?
it's well, I don't even want to say hijacked. It's these planets, these heavenly bodies are unconditional. So they can be used for positive intent or negative intent. You and I right now can connect to Saturn's energy, do a ritual, and have that Saturnian power all be intended for positive, divine intent. But with having a whole structured organization of global elites, the Illuminati cabal, they have a massive world organization in figuring out spiritually, esoterically, and technologically on how to connect to Saturnian energy to
Mhm.
govern the physical matrix. And so
And
Mhm.
shit, because you're on a roll. What's brilliant about that is not only do they get to take from the power of Saturn, but they contextualize to the rest of us who are awakening, assuming our warrior energy, that Saturn is bad, evil, no, no, avoid Saturn. So I think it's like twofold. Like they are taking its power, and then we're all saying, oh no, don't touch that, when really we could be taking from its power and usefulness, but with benevolent intention.
Yes, 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 yes. Exactly, exactly. Because one of the things that Saturn lends us is the ability to organize and strategize and create structure, to create legacy, and we are so discombobulated, and dysregulated and disorganized and work and experiencing this spiritual war in silos and not connected, that we totally lack Saturnian energy and being able to come together and organize and strategize and actually build real tangible structures in creating and manifesting new earth. That is happening in small groups. Like there's a ton of light working communities doing that in small groups here and there, but it's not to the scale of centuries that have been around within these global elite families. Um, Not to say that we're winning or losing or whatever. I'm just pointing out the facts. This is just what it is right now. So Saturn takes approximately 28 to 30 years to do one full cycle around the zodiac. And every time Saturn is moving through Pisces, because Saturn governs the world, that Saturn in Pisces transit is literally the ending of that current world structure. So it's literally an apocalyptic time because the systems and structures and rules within over the last 30 years is coming to an end. And then when Saturn moves into Aries, that's when the ushering in of the next stage of the New World Order agenda is implemented. So every 30 years, these Illuminati global elites implement different stages of the next New World Order agendas. And so right now with Saturn and Pisces, everything is very karmic right now. We're going through this profound karmic experience. And we have already been pre-programmed and with predictive programming on what to expect over the next 30 years. And that's with transhumanism, that's with AI, that's with the gender wars with transgenders and things like that, the confusion of identity. There's what else? Wars, military, our money systems with cryptocurrency and Brexit and the American dollar. Um, so this is what's coming, and then and also weather technology and aliens. So and civil war. So
Mhm.
we have been already preconditioned over the last 30 years on what to expect for the New World Order agendas, and so with the microchipping and all of that stuff. So this is so they have set the stage over the last 30 years using Saturn's influence. And now when Saturn goes into to Aries, this is going to really be ushering in an intense level of authority, conflict, and war over people on enforcing the next stages of the New World Order agenda with 15-minute cities, climate control, carbon footprints, can't fucking drive a car. Everything needs to go all electric. So
Carbon credits. Yeah.
this is yeah, social credits. This is the next wave that they want to implement. So now, with that being said, I'm not fear mongering. I don't believe that they're victorious. I believe that we have already won. We are victorious now, and that everything that they have planned and intended are only merely going to be attempts. So when
Yes.
we see something happen, it's only attempt to hope that they can make it work. But critical mass, enough people within the world have awakened and are sovereign, where energetically us powerhouses, so like Alex and I together, because of where we are in our sovereignty and our individuality, we represent an energetic field of collective that's maybe hundreds or even thousands of people that are asleep and unaware. And same thing goes for you if you're listening to this type of content. A lot of responsibility has been bestowed upon us. Just like sheep herders that have sheep, for every sheep herder, they're herding, 100, 200 sheeps, because sheeps are docile, stupid animals. And if they don't have somebody to herd them, they're going to die. They're going to get infected. They're going to, they're dumb, and this is sort of the same thing going on with humanity. Now, so it's all an attempt. So I'm not fear mongering. I don't believe it, but it is important to understand the astrology, how these people also understand the astrology, and to just to be aware of it in a different way. So something that is also profound with this Saturn in Pisces getting ready to start a whole new cycle when it moves into Aries is that it's going to be starting a new synodic cycle with Neptune at the same time. And they're both going to be dancing back and forth from Pisces to Aries to Pisces, and then moving forward into Aries. Deeply, deeply profound. Neptune being the ruling planet of Pisces. Neptune is Poseidon, god of the seas. Neptune governs illusions, fantasies. Neptune is sort of a trickster energy, but also in the highest regards, Neptune is the energy that connects us to all spiritual realms. Neptune, without Neptune, we wouldn't have an imagination. Without Neptune, we wouldn't be able to imagine. Without Neptune, we wouldn't be able to dream and disassociate and go into this other realm of creation through imagination and belief systems. So Neptune is a very profound energy, and with Saturn getting ready to meet with Neptune, this is bringing in and also at the last degree, last decan of the zodiac in Pisces, 28, 29 degrees, Neptune and Saturn are going to meet next year. So when this occurs, this is bringing together the end of the Piscean era, of the
Mm.
Piscean era of being a victim, of being a martyr, of escaping reality, escaping the truth, of needing a savior complex, and realizing, because with the North Node and Aries and all the Aries energy, realizing, no, you are the one, you are the warrior. You're not, it's not Trump, it's not Q, it's not the aliens, it's not fucking anybody. You have to do it. But yes, we are here to support you, but you have to do it. So this, with Saturn getting ready to meet with Neptune into Pisces by next year, this is going to be an intense, profound spiritual realization where we are going to be so sensitively aware and actually feel the intensity of what's been going on. And because right now with the North Node in Aries, the road to destiny has already been preset starting now, going into next year. So going into next year, this is what I've been saying all the time, like 9/11 was an inside job. Oh
Mhm.
yeah, it was. I've seen the documentary. Ha 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 ha. Okay, something is wrong there. Something is wrong with all the people who understand that 9/11 was an inside job. There's a certain weight that hasn't hit us, and what that really means, and that's just one example. There's a lot of examples, like Lahaina. What happened in
Yes.
Hawaii, Lahaina. That's another example, right? We Those of us connected, we know the truth, we know what's been going on, but there is a certain element, weight to it, reality, because remember, Saturn is reality. There's a certain reality of all these things, all these fucked up things, that atrocities that have been happening to the world for 100. There's a certain weight of it that has not hit,
Yes.
because if it did, these motherfuckers would be x'd out. We'd be acting way differently. We'd be way more. This is our planet. So the Aries total solar eclipse occurring right now, and this whole time with the north node being in Aries right now, since last year June and July, we have been walking down the road to destiny and becoming the sovereign individual person you are to be, and realizing that in some form or way, whatever, how big or small, you have to be taking conscious active action in interfacing with others in the world, in what's happening in this whole mess, one way or another. One way, whether if it's actually being a part of organizations, or just praying or something. So this, right now, we're on this pathway, and then by going into next year in 2026, when Neptune and Saturn are meeting together in Pisces, and they're both tiptoeing back and forth to Aries and Pisces, this is when it's going to hit. This is when it's going to be like, oh my God, and we're going to purge and cry and feel so fucking much. And that's why they're ramping up all of this crazy energy about civil war, because they want to hijack what's happening now. This, because Aries energy is fighting. One of my homies back in the day growing up in LA was an Aries, and this motherfucker used to literally punch people in the face if they would just ask him, "Hey man, can I try to do a trick on your skateboard?" He'd be like, "What? Fuck out my face." I'm not kidding. Aries energy is raw, fighting warrior spirit. So they're trying to hijack this Aries energy for us to be fighting against each other. And because Saturn is still in the low second decan of Pisces, and Neptune has been in Pisces, we are still disillusioned in this victim suffering, martyr, sacrifice, spiritual karmic energy, where we are where we're having to go through the motions of waking up to the reality of it. Like, for example, I way back in the day, what got me into the door of spirituality was Satanism, and I used to
Mhm.
openly identify as a misanthropic spiritual Satanist, until I realized, oh, the only reason why I'm identifying this and believing that this is my character and these are what my beliefs, is because I'm a deeply wounded child that hasn't been able to process what I went through growing up. And so I'm projecting out into the world what I am afraid of and my trust issues. This is the same thing collectively. Collectively, we have a certain facade that is still coming from deep genetic generational wounds, where we have to realize the truth and come to conclusions of the whole truth, and go through an intense transformation, where we then come back into the heart and realign to our true essence. And when I was able to switch that, I renounced all of that satanic bullshit, came into the heart, and remembered who I've always been, born into this world, which I'm an amazing, beautiful, angelic Blu-ray star seed soul, coming back to that aspect. And that's where we all are collectively. I've been on a huge fucking rant, so I'm just gonna stop right there. I'm gonna stop the screen share too.
Yeah, no, that was great. Preach. That was awesome. And you bring up like a trillion great points. And what I love about I call them weather reports, because you're kind of going outside. These are the prevailing conditions. Here's what's coming down the line. Here's what's to expect. Here's what one should kind of map out and do going forward. And it really gives clarity to like what's happening, because it's a bombardment, right? Like just a
Mm,
lot of media and a lot of this and that just between our episode on Friday to today. How many crazy ass things happened? Candace Owens booted out from the Daily Wire because she
mm,
poked a tiny bit at the sort of hidden framework that runs Hollywood and DC. And
mm,
then, God, what else? The terror attack in Russia, that within 1 minute it's postulated as an internal Russian false flag. Then it's positioned as ISIS. ISIS came in and did it. Then further, it's exposed that those who were ISIS doing it didn't kind of weren't they were just kind of cheap people hired on the black market on Telegram to come in and just do this for just what, $11,000. So and then it caused everybody to kind of look at ISIS and be like, well, wait, yeah, that hasn't been in the news in a while. What's up with that? Oh, that's a manufactured thing, possibly between the CIA and Mossad.
mm,
So it's just like that's just for, oh, and Kate Middleton, like, right, like we talked
mhm,
about that. I mean, I don't want to talk about the royals as if we're, like Entertainment Tonight or something like that, but yet again, we postulated and theorized about her a little bit on Friday. Like, that's just the way it's going out. It's not that she's like absent, it's just that all these weird fake things are thrown out, and then we're like, is she dead? Like, what up, girl? And then
mhm,
on Friday, she releases this video, and then she's like, "Hi, I'm seated very still on a bench, and the bench is a little bit too big for my human scale," and blah, 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 blah. And then now, just the conspiracy forum on Reddit is already like, as her hand moves in a certain way at these certain frames, her blue Princess Diana sapphire ring is there, then disappears, then comes back, thus betraying that the video is probably a deep fake or AI, or could very likely be, right?
mhm,
I mean, yeah. So basically, what I'm pulling from this is I feel like the cabal is throwing a lot of spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. Right? They're just like they see the prevailing conditions. They see how their livestock, you meet like the cattle, which is us
mhm.
humans, are waking up, reassuming that warrior energy, stepping into our sovereignty and our divine, value proposition and purpose. And we're just like, what the fuck? No, fuck you guys. And then they're like, oh, do the 15-minute city, see if that happens. Like, why is everybody looking at Klaus Schwab? He's supposed to be kind of invisible to the masses. Oh
Mhm,
crap. And I think and the new Civil War movie coming out, like slated to come out, that's insane to me, that
mm,
Hollywood is like, let's fracture the citizenry, let's build divisions between the citizenry, because during World War II, there was a lot of like, unity, like propaganda coming out of Hollywood. A lot of the things we love, all the best Christmas songs we love, all the,
mhm.
the idea of Santa wearing red, that kind of Coca-Cola manufactured thing, that's very much like Hollywood propaganda during the 40s, to build unity, to build national identity, and to be
Right.
like, there, the Axis powers are over there, and the Ally powers, we have soul, we sing, we da, da,
Yeah.
da, da, da. So this seems like a moment where that would be needed, but funny enough, it's really like no fracture, division, putting MAGA people against like migrant people, and then they don't know what's kind of happening, and they're part of a oligarchs, thing, and so it's a big mess. It's a cacophony of crazy shit, but we seem to have eyes to see and ears to hear, and
Mhm.
we're stepping back into our warrior thing. So thank you for your kind of showing what's going on in the weather, because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's hidden on a personal level.
Dude, that was so crazy when last week when we were talking and, I don't know if you guys watching this now saw us talk last week on Friday, and Alex was talking about Kate Middleton, and he was like, it's super weird that they're releasing these pictures, and and Alex is like, and he's an Aquarius and a reflector, and so he's like, I would think that they would at least say she has cancer. That way, the people would be more endearing to her fight against cancer instead of suspicious of where she actually is. And then like a fucking literally like an hour later, they come out with that video. Oh, she actually has cancer. You know what I mean? And the reason why I point out Alex being an Aquarius and a reflector is if you guys know what a reflector is, these people, they reflect the whole world, and they're like very psychic. Like, for example, Teal Swan, she is also an Aquarius and a reflector. You know,
Oh, shut up.
she is
Oh.
super smart. When you watch videos of her going on stage, she does this thing. She looks at every single person in the audience and takes in an Aquarius collective, takes in the collective, energetic field of where everyone is. And then she's able to just, with her genius Aquarius energy, reflect upon that. And because Aquariuses are super collective, they're architects, and they know where the people are, and how to deliver to them. So I personally believe that Alex has no idea how much he's being remote viewed for just the things he randomly thinks about or even says, because they're going to be great, useful ideas. And he does work in the marketing industry because he knows how to fucking manipulate with marketing, because of that.
Hashtag
He
truth.
knows, he knows
Yeah.
what the people wants. So I find that super interesting that, like, the moment you said that, they were like, quick, let's doctor the video
Oh, that's
right
a great
now. She
idea.
has cancer. Great idea. Why didn't we think about that? But who knows? Maybe we're just speculating. We're not that special, I guess.
I don't know. I do think we're special, and we have the illusion of obscurity. But I think we do a lot of shit in the dream time. I think our viewers do too. I
Oh,
think we're
dude,
just
speaking of the dream time, because you also mentioned Russia and Moscow and what happened.
yeah.
Dude,
Hmm.
so that morning, before the Russian attacks, that morning, like, I wake up from a super intense dream, and I'd rather read it real quick. Let me just read this dream. So I wake up from this dream where I was in Russia, bro. And I think this was like the first time I ever had a dream in Russia. It was so interesting to be there. But I knew I was there. I knew I was in Russia. So
And you didn't know that it's like you went to bed and then the attacks, because you're Eastern Standard Time, right? So I found out in the evening, and you just like didn't have the news on. You didn't know.
no, I had no idea, bro. I didn't know any of the stuff. I still don't even know the details. All I know is Russia was attacked and was on the news. That's as deep as I know. But I'm going to read to you the dream I had. So I had some interesting dreams before waking up. There are parts to it I don't remember. Where I begin to remember are aspects of the dream somewhere in the wild forested mountains of Russia. I was with a group of other men, and we were fighting some type of operation that was near and on a great big river. I don't know what the operation was, but we were sent to destroy it. One of the guys on my squad somehow released a massive underground well of liquid molten gold. It bursted through the ground and turned the river from water to gold and destroyed the operation. As the liquid gold was bursting and destroying the building, my crew and I were falling off the waterfall cliff with the water as the gold following us down. We survived by falling into a pool of water at the end of the waterfall, and got out of the water just in time and watched in amazement of seeing the waterfall turn to gold. But then the flow stopped and the gold hardened. As I went up to the cliff to touch the gold, I couldn't believe my eyes. We are rich beyond our imagination, I said. Then a man on my team was shouting, "Bear!" as a massive grizzly bear, dude, this was a big fucking grizzly bear, came out of a cave underneath the old waterfall. The grizzly bear was very angry. It was a stare down between the man that shouted bear and the grizzly. The man began running for his life, and so did we, as the grizzly was on a rampage to get us all. I find some type of mansion sized treehouse that can only be accessed by climbing up a rope. I was the first to climb, and then the others. The last guy was weak and tired and panicking, so he couldn't concentrate any of his strength. I coached him under the extreme pressure to take deep breaths and to hold onto the rope. As I started pulling him up the 20, 30 feet, I kept shouting, "No man left behind." Then the rest of the squad helped me and got him up just in time. The bear couldn't reach us. Next thing I know, I'm waking up from that dream, but now I'm in another dream. I wake up in this big house, and there are other people in there. I'm walking around the house. I come down the stairs to see two women and a small child, maybe 2 or 3 years old. Apparently, we rescued him the night before and were laying low before getting ready to transport him to the safe haven we have for children we are rescuing. There are two small old style box TVs on a coffee table, and they're both playing two different court cases from decades ago. I don't know what the case was about or who the people were on the screen. The two women get ready to leave to transport the child to the safe haven. I walk into the kitchen to see a friend and team member, a gay Latino man who made smoothies for everybody and had his favorite juice he enjoys, but asked everyone not to drink it. It was this one little thing he doesn't want to share. I remember saying, "Hey, no problem, brother. I get it. There are things I enjoy that I don't like sharing. Ain't no shame on that. I respect your boundaries. Now give me a smoothie." He smiles and gives me a smoothie. Then I move to a different room in the house where I meet a beautiful blue macaw parrot. Then I realize that I met this parrot in another dream recently. I start talking to the parrot and give him some pets. The parrot kept saying nice things, but then kept looking directly in my eyes and then started saying, "You don't know, huh? You don't know, huh? You don't know, huh? You haven't remembered. You can't remember. You don't know." Then I started getting uncomfortable and started freaking out, sort of, and got up from where I was sitting, pacing around the room, asking the bird, "What don't I remember? What isn't it that I don't know?" And then I woke up from that dream. So,
Wow.
I had that dream with Russia, right? And then that day, like I go to Facebook, and then I'm seeing like images of like a Moscow mall on fire, and like apparently 40 or 100 people died. I don't really know the details, but yeah.
Yeah, it was like a terrorist attack at a concert hall attached to a mall. Huge amount of people, and it's really funny because I think there was an intent with how it was to go about, and then very quickly everything just kind of you're in a golden who's that?
I don't know,
Um,
but I like it.
you're in a
Jehudi.
golden flow, bro. He really is. He really fucking is. And then we have Debbie here, finally getting excited for the new energy to integrate. I hear you, Queen.
Woo woo.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, and there's dream work we do. So we're either like keeping a pulse on what's going on. We're getting insight into some of the key players. In my opinion, what happened in Russia is kind of a flashpoint, a really big moment because it's tragic, but also it really exposed on the global stage a lot of weird machinations that we're not supposed to be privy to and we're not supposed to see and we're not supposed to acknowledge. And it's really the traditional entrenched power structures that really get by on hypnosis, manufactured
Hmm.
consent. Like, even if you notice it, you're not supposed to say anything, or you're supposed to be scared into compliance. Or somebody gives you a little bit of side eye on the subway, and you think that you're being watched, so you just like kind of cower and go into your little cave and shh. And that is just fallen by the wayside. And it only takes, much like to bring up like Bill Cosby and how he perpetually like abused and victimized women for decades, right, with his weird
Hmm.
little shtick. Um, it just takes a couple voices to come out and be like, "This shit happened to me," and someone else is like, "Me too," and then all of a sudden, like 30 are like, "Damn girl," and similarly here, it just takes a few to crack open, and then the dam releases. Because I do think in terms of timeline and timeline manipulation, which is I think what we're doing in the dreamscape when we do dream work, and we're shifting timelines, we're irrigating timelines, we're choosing, this potential and that potential. I think we were already supposed to have popped off by this point. We were already supposed
Yeah.
to have gone into civil war, really gone into conflict. There are all these like faux things presented in front of us.
Hmm.
Feds masking themselves and being like, you know, pretending to be Patriot Front or pretending to be a group named, they were called Blood Libel, and they walk through Nashville with swastika flags, and they're like, "Boo, boo, 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 boo." And it was just very like made for TV. And then
Hmm.
the media covered them, and they're like, "Oh my god, look at all these Nazis around." And we're like, they showed up in a U-Haul, did this fake weird thing. all masked, right? And then they were like, they were
Mhm.
too fit, they were too coordinated, they like were made for TV and
Yeah.
not like actual like neo-Nazis from
Yeah.
Idaho.
I
So we
remember.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, it was just crazy. And I also think a lot of people complain about Antifa, and I'm like, I think it's a similar Fed construct because it's meant to poke, 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 and then
Yeah.
people go off or fight amongst each other and not the oligarchs. And we're not taking the bait, and I think that that's kind of fucking awesome. Things
Yeah.
are floated out to shift the narrative or shift timelines, and we're all like, "You're tripping over your dick, dude! Like, what are you doing?" And it's further just exposing more. Like now not only is it like, did their attempt fail, but now their asses are out too. So they've
Mhm.
amplified the whole, like, now we're all looking into ISIS and we're like, oh yeah, that was in the news, because there's so much, you can't think of everything at once.
Yeah.
And they themselves brought up like ISIS, and we're like, and all these people are like, wait a minute, so ISIS is apparently Muslim extremists. Okay, so where are they in all this Gaza shit?
Yeah.
Like, why are they weirdly Israel's best friend? Like,
Right.
bizarre. And then they have all this US Department of Defense shit. So they've been funded and weaponized by us, and they seem to do what Israel wants.
Mm.
Very like, doesn't seem like what you're trying to present to us is real. So very weirdly, like, not only did they like attempt something and it falls apart within 2 hours, just
Mhm.
hours. It didn't. The lie doesn't even float for a month, and then they're like, hey, let's look into that lie. Like they try to do the lie falls apart within hours, and further, they've like lost ground. They would be
Yeah.
in a better position of power if they did fucking nothing, and they couldn't help themselves. They're just like, shit, throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. And it's like,
Mhm.
oh shit, we're losing ground. And I just project that will be more and more as we step into our power and sovereignty. We're
Yeah.
going to watch these power structures attempt, and they're like, oh, and then it just keeps like making it worse, making it worse. And they'd have a few more decades of power if they just shut the fuck up, and if they didn't put people in such a desperate place like debt enslavement, living hand to mouth, crashing our economy. If they made our slave conditions a little bit better, we would have been fucking quiet. But
Mhm.
no, it's too late. They Pandora's, but they got a little too greedy. They had to push a little too much, like all abusers do, right? They push, they push, they push, they push, and now we're like, hey, we're waking up to it, and they're like, oh shit, push, 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 and we're just like, oh fuck, no, off, fuck off, like,
Mhm. Mhm.
and that doesn't require violence, it doesn't require death, it doesn't require nuclear calamity or anything like
Yeah.
that. It just requires a revocation of consent. Like, no, I consented to this because hypnosis, and no, like, fuck the fuck off. We're
Mhm.
watching Candace. I bring up Candace Owens in that. She's a black voice, and she's a black conservative voice, and I don't lean
And a
conservative,
woman.
but and a woman. Thank you. I forget. Yeah,
Mhm.
sorry, male privilege. But like, she has. We created a framework where like she got pushed into a corner. She was meant to like kiss the ring of this rabbi on her show, who came on and was basically like white splaining to her all this shit, and she was a little bit like, I mean, forgive me, but like, fuck the fuck off, a little bit, and nothing insulting, but just sort of like, I'm gonna kind of stand up for myself, and I'm not gonna accept this. And she
Mhm.
did, and she got pushed, and she's like, I got a following, I'm a millionaire, I'm fine. And she's emboldening a lot of people to kind of step up and like question entrenched power structures that really they try to bully through.
Yeah.
They try to bully through like, insinuation and like, well, you should, and what if, and blah. And she's just like, no. And then that's going to pop off a lot more. So
Yeah.
liberation is nigh. Liberation is here.
Yeah.
Liberation
Uh,
is, unscripted liberation codes.
love that. I
The
love.
codes are unfolding.
Yes. And I love that you bring up Candace Owens, because this is kind of like the example of this Aries eclipse energy, and with the North Node being in Aries and the South Node being in Libra, because and like the same thing kind of goes with Tucker Carlson. These are two great examples, because Candace Owens used to be a reporter for a legitimate mainstream media company, right?
I believe so. She
That
got
her
her start. Yeah, and I think she served in the Trump administration too. And then with her latest gig, she's been part of the Daily Wire, which is
Mhm.
like conservative Huffington Post kind of, since 2015 or thereabouts. And
Mm.
she's young too. I think she's like in her early or mid 30s or something.
So being an individual, being yourself, and that example you gave with the whole rabbi thing, like that's the old like Libra construct of like let's pressure somebody with societal etiquettes and that's and like that sort of thing where people instead of are not comfortable with holding their ground and setting their boundaries because people we have been so conditioned to people please and to sacrifice our own self, our own identity, our own sovereignty in order to um, evade the discomfort that comes with holding your ground and perhaps stirring some sort of discomfort by meeting. I don't want to say conflict, but meeting um, as your own by not agreeing with somebody, by not going along with somebody and saying, no, actually, no, I don't need this. I don't care what you have to say. I'm my own boss. I got my own money. I got my own following and and I follow my own path. And I'm not, going to let this pressure from this old structure and this old white rabbi man tell me what to do and what is. Like I'm not going to I like this influence is not going to trigger and condition me to go to sweet little girl Candace that you want me to be and be like, oh yes, blah blah blah. I'm a good little girl. Give me some num nums and blah blah blah. So this is the
Mm-hmm.
kind of this is the kind of activation and period we are collectively moving through where we have to be our own sovereign individual self and when in correcting the karma with the south node in Libra when being met and faced with a group with society and social etiquettes and pressure to to compromise your own self we have to not lose in that sense and be comfortable with being uncomfortable in conflict and holding your boundaries and that sort of stuff. So I love that you gave that example because that also ties back in to the eclipse energy. And same thing with Tucker Carlson, where he used to work for this established media group. And then
Mm-hmm.
because the entire time he was maintaining himself as an individual and was not going with the narratives that they wanted him to go to, they fired him. So he's like, fuck it. I'm going to be now. You've just activated my destiny in being who I'm meant to be, which is a free agent reporter that doesn't give a fuck. And I'm going to fucking report the way I want to report. And in that way, him moving into that destiny and moving forward with that and rising to what he feels his soul mission is, the universe folding in order to give him his abundance and moving into that. So we're all also going to be moving into more abundance, more flow, more of that golden flow when we're moving down that path and initiating ourselves and being, who we're supposed to be.
100%, because and this is betraying the absolute illusion, the wizard behind the curtain type of thing, where you see power, you see might, you walk through an airport and you see CNN on every screen, and you come to find out they're impotent as fuck,
Yeah.
because people follow a personality.
Tiny
People
ween-
are like, huh?
I said tiny wieners.
Little tiny little danglers, little tiny danglers, which is so great. I love pointing and laughing because all penises are good in the eyes of God. We won't be sizest here, but I mean these little tiny weeny little pieces of shit deserve to be raked over a little bit because they do project out, and then when you come to find out like, oh, your power structure is completely illusory. Independent media is popping off. We get a lot of viewers through Rumble, right? You and I, and
Mhm.
we're like fucking nobodies. You got people like Jimmy Dore, you got Tucker Carlson on X, you got all these people who are just like, you know what, I command an audience, and by command I don't mean like command them, but like when I go live, lots of eyeballs show up. that is powerful. People are like, I like what that person has to say. I like what that person editorializes. That person speaks what I'm kind of thinking. And that's what we would do on a local level. Like we'd have some thought leader down the street or someone at the community center. And we're like, oh, you got, I vibe with that. And so similarly on an outer level, as opposed to like turning to MSNBC or Fox News, the most trusted name in news, and you're like turning to a brand because you like the brand, that's very old energy. That was like very big in the 90s, right? Where you'd have this cute
Mhm.
boutique hotel, then it has to become a Sheraton because everybody needed everything to be McDonald's-ized and like have to be the same thing everywhere I go. And now the Sheraton, now our tastes have changed, and now the big conglomerate Sheraton is now pretending to be a cute boutique hotel, but it's owned by Sheraton. So it's like we've kind of done this like thing, and the prevailing energies are like we're following people who resonate, and we're following truth tellers, and we're following authentic people. And I don't agree with every authentic person nor everything they say, but that they're authentic, that I think it's coming from their thing, that like their mouth, and not a talking point, a corporate talking point, to literally just whatever blonde is at Fox News or whatever like
Yeah.
black skinned person at MSNBC who like is just like I hate to say it, but a diversity hire, because it's like here are corporate talking points, and I'm serving an entrenched structure, but this is a
Mhm.
palatable form for you to receive
Yeah.
your talking points from corporations. Like that power structure is dying. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. It's beautiful to watch.
That reminds me of that old video that's gone around the internet, circled around so many times over the last few years, where it's like it starts off with one newscast saying these scripted words, and then it's like another newscast and another newscast, and it's like 100 or so different
The
news
Sinclair
channels
media,
all across America, and they're all saying the same
it's
fucking
very
propaganda.
dangerous to our democracy.
Yeah, very dangerous to our democracy. Fucking A. And back when like COVID was first happening, and the pandemic and the shutdowns and the mainstream media and all that stuff, anytime I was coming across like more independent information that was going against the norm, I would send it to people that were close to me at that time, educated, smart, successful, older people, you know what I mean? I'd send it to them and be like, look, like blah blah blah. And they would give me the most condescending fucking response. They'd be like, sweetie, this isn't coming from a legitimate news source. This is who we don't even know who these people are, blah blah blah. I'm like, are you reading the information at all? You know, or
No,
or do you really need it to fucking say Fox or NSB, whatever the fuck other news things, or Forbes or whatever? And gosh, anyways, I don't know where I was going with that,
oh
but
no, because I'll bring it up because people are like, why are y'all still talking about COVID? And it's like, that I think it put us on a new and accelerated timeline. So for that, I'm grateful. But everything, it really exposed a lot. Exposed for me, I was traditionally very just liberal, right? So I would watch left leaning. MSNBC's on every day. Loved me my Rachel Maddow. Didn't realize she was totally a CIA mouthpiece till a few years ago. But she
yeah,
presents well, and she's very smart.
yeah,
Has great thoughts and is quick on her feet. But I noticed that everybody around me, I left Mormonism many years ago, right? And then in Mormonism, there was a lot of like, listen to the prophet. I know we said this yesterday, but we're saying this today. And then I'm like, okay, Mormonism doesn't work. I'm out, right? Like, you're all serving this entrenched power structure, this priesthood. I'm out. Okay,
mhm,
so now I'm this like secularized, latte sipping liberal in downtown Seattle. And now what the fuck is happening around me in 2020? Like, I realize everyone around me, they're not Mormon, but they're Mormon. Like everyone around me was like, there is like the prophet was Dr. Fauci, whom I
mm,
will let you know, gay people, because we're the first to any trend, gay people, we were walking around in the 1980s with signs saying, Dr. Fauci, you are killing us. We clocked that motherfucker long before everyone else. And then come to find out, many decades later, queer communities, LGBTQ communities are very trauma bonded to big pharma, right? We need to go to pharma for PrEP to not get HIV.
mm,
We go to pharma for hormone therapy because everybody it's kind of being pushed a little bit inorganically. I'm very middle of the road with that, but I have thoughts. And I'm very pro trans, by the way, but I do think the amount of people who experience gender dysmorphia is much smaller than is being pushed. So that's a topic for another episode. But basically, long story short, everyone around me was a fucking Mormon because they're all like, trust the science. And I'm like, science is not to be trusted. Science is to be constantly critiqued, questioned, and evolve. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yesterday's science should not be today's science. We should have new findings, new results, new studies. And then, that really betrayed the fakery of fucking everything. Not only are we watching, were we watching vaccine passports trying to be pushed, which ironically really fucked with black and people of communities of BIPOC communities, black and indigenous and people of color communities,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
who justifiably were like, I'm not going to like inject this liquid because I've been dicked with by the American medical community and experimented upon for many, many decades. So you had low black uptake of the vaccine, and then suddenly we're going to get into we're not monetized on YouTube, but like, we're going to get a little slap. You have all these like well-meaning white liberals who are like, I went black on my social media for Black Lives Matter. But black person, you can't come into this restaurant or get onto this public transportation or get onto this plane without showing me your injection card, is like that disproportionately affected low income people and people of color
Yeah.
vaccine passports. So it just showed, like, I looked around and I'm like, everyone around me is a fucking goddamn Mormon. They need things to come from the official church sources. They need
Yep.
a prophet to speak. The prophet changes on a dime and they also change on a dime.
Mm,
And they're supposed to trust in what they do not know and what they cannot see. And that is not fucking science.
no.
So, okay, I'm off
Yeah.
my perch. But
Yeah.
it just betrayed a lot and exposed a lot. And I think it emboldened a lot of people. And it's very funny because I will very much like there was this moment where you and I were on the phone, and you walked into a convenience store and they're like, get out, you don't have a mask on. And you're like, whatever, man, fuck you. And then I'm just like, you just put on the mask, right? Like just, like I very much am like a chameleon. I'll just cloak and like get what I want. And I'm just like, I didn't do the injection, but I'm just like, okay, I'll do whatever visual moniker you need so that I can just get what I need. And you're like, don't be such a pussy, bro. And I was just like, hey, yeah, you're fucking right, dude. Like this is illusion. It's a phantasma. It's something being pushed, and we all have to be kind of like scared, quiet livestock and be like, okay, I'm sorry, I shouldn't step out. I don't want to be the one. And I think that energy is really coming to a head with these eclipses. I really brought it around full circle.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. I mean, even then, that whole masking thing, like there were times where I did wear it, but for the most part, very proud to say that I didn't. I didn't social distance at all. I think the only times where I was wearing a mask was when like I needed to take my mother to her very important specialty doctor appointments where they just wouldn't, so that was
it's
my.
a medical facility, like fun, like sure,
Yeah. But there were several occasions in grocery stores where I wouldn't wear a mask and be followed, and you know there was one occasion where these people were harassing me in the store, and I had a little basket. I'm like, just leave me alone, I'm just gonna get this stuff and purchase it. And they're like, well, our cashier is not gonna ring you out, blah 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 blah, and they wouldn't fucking get out of my face. So then I just dropped the basket in the floor and started walking out, and as I'm walking out, right before the door opens, there's a sign that says wear a mask, social distance, blah blah blah. I grab the fucking sign and fucking slam it to the ground, and then I get into my van, and I pull out of my van, and as I'm pulling out, I'm driving up towards the storefront, and I see the manager in a mask hiding behind bushes calling the cops. And I stop and I put down my window, and I'm like, you're such a fucking pussy, you need to hide behind the bushes while on the phone with the cops. Fuck you. Then I revved up my engine because it was a big ass V8 engine. I was like, vroom, 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 and I drove off in my van.
that's some BDE. That's a big dick energy, bro.
Dude,
That's
I was like,
great.
fuck you. Yeah. But then there was another time too where I was like shopping for ingredients to make salsa, and the same thing. They're like, "We're not going to help you," blah blah blah. And then I get in line, and I'm like, I'm just going to pay for this and be out, you know. And they're like, "The cashier's not going to ring you out." And by the time it was my turn, and I'm with the cashier's like, and I'm looking at him. I'm like, come on, seriously, think for a second. This is this is retarded. This is stupid. Like I'm right here. I'm standing right here. You're looking at me. I got all my things. I'm not going to put the mask on. So either you just check me out, screw what these people are telling you, or I just walk away and all this stuff is here and you have to put it back. And I touched it all. So I know your policies, you know?
Yeah.
And he just was like, no problem, and rang me out, you know. So it was like at that moment I had a choice in how I could handle that. I was like, either I'd be an explosive dick like I was the last time and grab the sign and threw it on the ground, or I tried to like actually like connect with somebody that I felt was open to receive that connection, you know, because there were a few registers open, and I was like, I can get into that person's mind, you know. The other people I was like, no, they're way gone, but this person still has some reason within them, you know. So,
And
so
what's amazing about that is like that sticks to them. So
mhm.
that's a small moment. And then you left and you never met them again. And then they kind of were like, hey, maybe the wall can come down a little bit with this sort of like we do this mechanism. Is it epidemiologically sound? No, but we do it for fealty to priest Fauci, right? I really want to take that guy to that little piece of shit. I really want to take that guy to task. He's just such a not in some like mean way, but like yeah. I think he's hiding in some mansion somewhere. But yeah, it's these little moments where you're just like we're free and sovereign individuals, right? And then if you zoom out, this is kind of stupid because I am a guy who would wipe down my airplane seat before it was fashionable, before COVID, because I didn't like people's funk, like the coffee stain and you're fucking like, and people nasty. Like people just like
Mhm.
wipe their ass, don't wash their hands and
I
fucking go
know.
around town. Oh, it's
Hmm.
nasty. If
Hmm.
you go to a
I know.
restaurant and you like get the mint, they would have the mint bowl.
Uh-huh.
Like that is the highest concentration of urine in a restaurant is the mint bowl because people just piss, do whatever, they don't care, and there's like little trace, and then they're like, I want a mint. So that shit nasty. Like we
Thanks,
eat
Olive
bags
Garden.
of meat. Yeah, sorry, thanks, Olive Garden. Mm. But like, and then I would just watch these people like at my corporate law firm. Like we'd be in a high rise, and you use an elevator to get between floors, and somebody would just like press that. Like the biggest concentration of germs is that one little square inch that elevator button. Everyone on that floor has to press that one square inch. And so I would just watch somebody press the button and then just like rub their eyes. And I'm like, ugh, like y'all nasty. And then here we had this like mechanism of the mask. And we're like, well, this keeps me safe. And then this one time, sorry, like just showing you like the fucking absurdity of it all. And I know we're still talking about it as 2024, but I'm in downtown Seattle. I am outside of the Starbucks on Harbor Way. I am right downtown in a claustrophobic skyscraper. My office is like right there, but I can't go into my office. I can see it, but I can't go into it. And I'm living in a skyscraper and working in a skyscraper. And I go down to Starbucks, do the through the window thing, and it's okay. And then I was wearing masks like out in the open air because I would just get all this death stares. And this one woman is just like masked and she has to sneeze. So she pulls it down to sneeze and then puts it back. And I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck are we doing here? What the fuck are we doing here? What? Like you're not
Mhm.
even like good Mormons. Like you're weirdly like you have a set of rules, but you're stupid about the rules. And then
Yeah.
to this day, I have a few. Masking is strong during the winter months here on the Washington Olympic Peninsula, which is where I'm broadcasting. And I'll just have these people who walk into the restaurant with masks and then pull them down and then they eat and then or they have it down below their nose. And I'm like, you just have a dirty diaper on your fucking face, people. And people just still touch their face because they're just fucking gross. And so it's just stupid.
Yeah.
Anyway, humans, we're here to liberate them, but God, a lot of them are stupid.
Facts. Facts.
uh, well, this was great.
This was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we should shimmy to the closing of this now.
Yeah, we probably should. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining us today, where we kind of talked about, well, we didn't kind of, we did. We're in between, for those of us watching at a later date, we're in between eclipses. The lunar eclipse just passed, the solar eclipse is forthcoming. So thank you for joining us on our special Monday broadcast. We will be back again on Friday. And we'll have guests coming down the pike and certain other things. So follow us on X, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook. If you feel like you'd like to join us for a conversation as a guest, let us know. You can send us a private chat, a DM, or you can come to our website, which should be launching this week, unscriptedliberationcodes.com. Anything else for the good of the order before we part?
um, well, you guys know how to reach me. My website is starseedsalsa.com. You can book readings, astrological readings. Salsa will soon become available to purchase again on the website. I will be launching a sale soon for readings, so keep an eye on out for a discount code to purchase a discounted spring reading. So yeah, with that being said, everybody have a great night or day or
Peace. A day on the Western Hemisphere. Bye.
peace.